five times. Om Gati Gati Okay, continuation from where we left this morning. Before we actually jump into emptiness concept, what is important is that we need to have a proper proper ground. That is to clear the misconceptions. Oftentimes, people they speak about emptiness to understand that nothing exists. And in fact, this is personal. I met several even professors who speak about emptiness and saying that according to Nagarjuna, nothing exists. This is not true. This is a total misconception. And for that matter, the best, how we can have the best of a broad picture of emptiness is by keeping in mind two questions. Question number one, do things exist? Question number one, do things exist? If your answer is no, you fall into nihilism. You fall into nihilism. Nihilism is way far away from emptiness. It is not at all emptiness. And only if you say that, yes, of course things exist. The way, gentlemen here, your name? Meiru. The way Meiru said that, yes, we see the flower there. There, we are in the monash. We're in this beautiful hall. We just had lunch, right? We're in Israel. So all these are the realities. If you discard the realities, if you disregard the realities, if you define the realities, nowhere you're going closer towards emptiness. This is not emptiness. So in other words, if you really want to understand emptiness, and if you want to say one, to get into the fears, the best and the most efficient way by which to get there is the experience of emptiness. One. So meanwhile, even if you want to say you want to have a correct answer to what emptiness is, correct impression of what emptiness is, then these two questions must be there. The first one is, do things exist? What's the answer? Yes. If you say no, this is no way close to emptiness, this is nihilism. Okay. So in this connection, then people will argue, particularly if the professors, it's some of the professors who claim to be Buddhist scholars, and then they say that nothing exists, and if you say that yes, in Buddhism everything exists, then they may come with a debate argument saying that in Buddhism, there's a concept of selflessness. Selflessness meaning there's no self. This is the concept, popular concept, or emptiness, selflessness. So what is this? The Buddha said there's no self. Okay, here we need to, these questions come up, we should be able to get the correct answer. For that matter, the first question we already asked, do things exist? The answer is yes. Does self exist? The answer is yes. If the answer is no, the self does not exist, you go to nihilism. Even if you say that Buddha taught selflessness, this is very different connotation. It does not mean, by no means, it means that the self doesn't exist. Self does exist, don't forget it. Because the Buddha said, you are the master of yourself. Buddha himself said it. You are the master of yourself. Who else is there as your master? The one who tames his or her mind is the wise and will be liberated from the miseries. Let me say this again, what the Buddha said. I'm quoting. You are the master of yourself. Who else is there as your master? The one who tames his or her mind is the wise and will be liberated to the higher states. This is what the Buddha said, which means that you are the master of yourself. You exist, the self exists. If the self does not exist, how can the Buddha say that you are the master of yourself? Right? And who else is there as your master? The one who tames oneself, himself, herself. All these, we are denying. If you say that in Buddhism there's no self. Self does exist in Buddhism. So the first question is, do things exist? Answer is yes. Only if your answer is yes, then you can expect to go to the real understanding of emptiness by going to the second question. The second question is, do things exist objectively? Do things exist objectively? So, from where we left this morning, the orchid flower in my right hand, on my right hand, and the imaginary lotus flower in my left hand, the two flowers. What's the difference? What we learned is that orchid flower exists objectively, and the imaginary rose, right? Because there's no rose there. Imaginary rose, maybe it's after lunch, it happens sometimes. Yeah. Okay, the imaginary rose, it exists subjectively. The dream exists subjectively. Mirage exists subjectively. Okay. Once you know this, then immediately before we left for the lunch, what we said was that not only the mirage, not only dream, not only the imaginary rose flower, everything that exists in this universe, while they exist, but they don't exist objectively. Nothing exists objectively. Everything exists subjectively. Everything. Everything exists subjectively. This is what we learned immediately before we retired for lunch. Everything exists subjectively. So when I say everything exists, the first question, do things exist? Answer is yes, everything exists. Second question, do things exist objectively? Answer is no. Things are empty of objective existence. Okay, let's not forget this. With this, the next, which is very important, is that what's the difference between nihilism and emptiness? What is the difference between nihilism and emptiness? So what I said is that I've very strongly told you that emptiness doesn't mean nothingness. This is what I very strongly told you. Emptiness doesn't mean nothingness. Emptiness doesn't mean nihilism. What's the difference between the two? This is one question. Another question is, what is the difference between, if everything is coming from the subjective, from the subject, everything is subjectively real and everything becomes like imaginary, right? How can you distinguish between imaginary and everything else? If everything is subjectively real, So everything is also subjective. Imaginary is also subjective. Also coming from the subjective mind, and everything. So if they come from your mind, then they are saying, okay. So what's the difference? All this must be resolved. For that, one thing which can help us greatly is by understanding the three things. One is emptiness does not mean nothingness. Emptiness means dependent origination. Let us not forget this. One, emptiness does not mean nothingness. Emptiness is the meaning of dependent origination, number one. Number two, dependent origination means the middle way. Dependent origination means the middle way. Number three, therefore emptiness means the middle way, not nothingness, not nihilism. Therefore emptiness means middle way. Let me say this again. First, emptiness means dependent origination. Number two, dependent origination means the middle way. Number three, therefore emptiness is the middle way. Okay, if the first two premises hold true, then the third by default holds true. You agree with me? If the first two premises hold true, then by default the third one also holds true. So for us, what we need to do is we need to know how the first two premises hold true. What's the first premise? That everything means dependent origination. How do we know this? Okay, for that we need to know 5 points. How emptiness equates dependent origination. How emptiness means dependent origination. For that we need to know 5 points. 1. Emptiness. First was an emptiness. Number 2. Emptiness does not mean nothingness. Emptiness is the number 2, short form of emptiness of independent existence. Number 2. Emptiness is a short form of emptiness of independent existence. Okay. How many of you the IFD? How many of you know IFD? DFI, what is DFI? No, this is who you are. I'm asking just the opposite. IDF. Yes. Yes. Israeli Defense Force. Okay. Yes. IDF, Israeli Dharma Friends. Right? Israeli, right, Dharma Friends, or Israeli Defense Force. Okay. Okay. How many of you know the meaning of who? How many of you know the meaning of who?
There was something in India.
Huh?
In India, there was something.
In India? Who are you? Okay, good. So, who? Who means who are you? But everybody knows this who in the context of who are you. Nobody will ask you. If you ask this, which means either the person learning English or the person in school or hospital, mental hospital. Right? Who is a short form of World Health Organization. It doesn't mean who are you. You're getting it? It's a short form of World Health Organization. Likewise, emptiness, point number 1. It's a short form of emptiness of independent existence. It doesn't mean empty. It's a short form of emptiness of independent existence, number 2. Number 3, emptiness of independent existence means nothing exists independently, number 3. Number 2, emptiness of independent existence. Number 3, emptiness of independent existence means nothing exists independently, number 3. Nothing exists independently, number 3. Number 4, nothing exists independently means everything exists by dependence. Very good. Nothing exists independent means everything exists by dependence. Number 4. Number 5. Everything exists by dependence means everything is dependently originated. Number 5. Okay, from this what we come to just conclude is emptiness is not nothingness, is the meaning of independent origination. This is part 1. Done. What is part 2? Hey, what's the part 2? Dependent origination is the middle way, is the meaning of the middle way. How? Again, we have to prove that. Dependent origination is the meaning of the middle way. How? Dependent origination has 2 sides. Dependence and origination. First, dependence. Dependence means dependence. What's the opposite of dependence? Independence. When you say dependence, independence is rejected. Independent, something independent and something absolute mean the same. So when you say dependence, it rejects independence and it rejects absolutism. So dependence, the first part, it rejects the extreme of absolutism. What's number 2? What's number 2? Origination. Origination means something comes into origination. Something comes into existence. What's the opposite of existence? Non-existence, nihilism, nothing. So when you say origination, it rejects the extreme of nihilism. Dependence, it rejects the extreme of absolutism. Origination, it rejects the extreme of nihilism. Combining dependent origination together rejects the 2 extremes. Rejecting the 2 extremes is following the middle way. Therefore, dependent origination means the middle way. Okay, so now, having been convinced with the first 2 premises, the third one. Therefore, emptiness is not nothingness, emptiness is the middle way. You getting it? Okay, this is extremely important thing for us to know. Now, the next point. The next point, very important thing, how to distinguish between emptiness and nothingness. Emptiness and nothingness. Emptiness means empty of objective existence. Everything is subjectively real. If subjectively real, nothingness is also subjective. So both become subjective. If both become subjective, what's the difference? Okay. In other words, we speak about the dream, which is not reliable, and waking state, which is reliable. Dream and waking state. If the waking state, what is now? The orchid flower, Monash, and the people around you, your family, Israel, the world. Okay, so if these are real, we are saying that these are all coming from the subject. The dream is also coming from the subject. How would you distinguish between the 2 things? All the other things which I said, unconventional dream and the conventional dream. How would you distinguish the 2 things? This.
Senses?
Huh?
The senses?
Okay, the senses. So what is dream-like is also coming from the subject? What is dream-like? Meaning all other things which is not the dream.
Yeah.
We said that everything is dream-like. Dream-like meaning just as the dream is coming from the subjective mind, everything else is also coming from the subjective mind. So therefore they are referred to as the dream-like. What's the difference between dream-like and the dream? What's the difference?
Perspective.
How?
In the dream, you are in the dream.
Yes.
So everything appears as real when you are awake. You look at the dream, so you can appreciate it as a
In the dream-like also? You are in the
In the
dream-like?
dream-like, you are.
In the dream-like? Again,
Here,
same?
I experience it as a dream. In a way.
What I'm saying, in the dream, you are in the dream. In the dream-like, you are in the dream-like.
Yeah. Yeah.
Same.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
but in the dream, I wake up. So.
Okay, in the dream-like also you can wake up later on
Yeah,
when you realize
I
something
just
else.
wake up still, so I don't
Huh?
have a
Okay, there.
In the dream life, there is a valid basis that you and me can speak of. We
How do you know that I'm seeing this girl? How do you know that this is not a dream?
Because now we are interacting, we are speaking.
In the dream you will say the same thing. In the dream you will say the same thing. In the dream you will also say the same thing. Right? Or we're interacting, you will say the same thing in the dream. You agree with me? If you agree with me, you're getting somewhere. Very good. Okay, so now this is a very serious question. Dream, when you speak about the dream and the dream life, in the dream, the efficacy of the cause and effect is not there. Efficacy of the cause and effect is not there. In the dream life, the efficacy of the cause and effect is there. You getting it? Okay, sometimes, okay, how many of you in your life, you had that experience? Efficacy means the what? Okay, anybody who likes to explain what efficacy is? Correctness, accuracy, correctness, efficacy, infallibility. Infallible dependent origination. Right? Okay. How many of you in your life, once in a while, you are not dreaming and you think that maybe this is a dream? How many of you felt that? Once in a while. Please hands. 1 over there, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Quite common. 9. Okay, that's interesting. So it also happened to me sometimes. Right? So how do I evaluate that? Whether what is happening now is dream or not? How do I evaluate that? Okay, interesting. How many of you, how do you do that? Just share? Yes, over there? You don't know?
Maybe now I am dreaming.
Okay, so what I'm asking is, how do you distinguish at times, not always, at times, how would you distinguish between, how would you really cross-check whether you're dreaming or not dreaming? Okay, here.
Try to do impossible things.
Okay, say when I'm able to do some impossible things, okay, now I'm dreaming. Whereas if I cannot do the impossible things, okay, then it's dream, then it's decided not dream.
When I dream and first thing I do is I try to fly.
Okay, if you can fly, which means it's dream. Okay,
Testing reality.
sorry,
Testing reality.
testing the reality. How?
Trying to touch.
Try to touch. Try to touch.
In the dream you touch.
In the dream also you'll touch. Right? In the dream also you'll touch. In the dream also you touch, you won't believe, right? So these are things that we need to really explore and make sure that these things happen in the dream. Once I dreamt of being on one side of the temple, the main temple in Dharamsala. And I just, the raindrops started to fall. And then I stretched my arms. Then I could feel the drops, they touched my body. Tick, 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 tick. Am I dreaming or not? In the dream I was asking. And then I said, no, it's not dream. How can all these drops, the details, all these drops, I could feel the touch. Tick, 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 tick. I could feel the touch. And then I wake up, then I lost trust in my own perception. Right? Simply because you could feel doesn't mean that it's not dream.
May I ask a question that elaborates the...
Yes, sure.
I have it like, there are 5 mental factors that exist always. Sleep is also a mental factor.
Yes.
Dream exists in part of the time of the sleep, in part it doesn't. Does the 5 mental factors that always exist also in the dream?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes, of course. Yes, always. In the dream, non-dream, all.
In the same time.
Yes.
So how do you make the difference?
Okay, so this is the question. Okay. So what I do is that in my dream, what I do to see whether I'm dreaming is not dreaming, the way said your name? Neil. What Neil said, something of this once happened. What happened was that I was saying just, I think it was an object which is not a tape recorder, like a flower, and suddenly the flower changes into tape recorder. Tape recorder meaning in those olden times. And there's a separate machine for them. You press the buttons and the music comes out, right? Then it becomes a tape recorder. Then I'm okay. Now this is dream, right? Okay, what I'm saying is that in the dream, cause effect is not efficacious. Cause effect, right? They may not be infallible. They may not be infallible, which means that they may not follow. They may not follow the rules of cause and effect. Law of cause and effect may not be followed in dreams. In the dream life, in the waking state, the law of cause and effect must follow. It follows so efficaciously and infallibly. This is the difference.
Why not you run away from the bus?
So again?
You run away from the bus in the dream.
Yes.
It's a cause and effect.
No, what I'm saying, in the dream, cause and effect not being followed happens in the dream. Doesn't mean that in the dreams all the cause and effect is not followed. This is not what I'm saying. What I'm saying, cause and effect not following, in the dream both are there. Cause and effect follows, not follow, both are there. In the waking state, only the cause and effect, the efficacy is followed. We're getting only one part is followed, whereas in the dream both can happen. Right? Okay. So with this, now we go into the actual analysis. Okay. Where's the table? Hey, where's the table? In front of me. I see the table, and still I ask you, where's the table? What's the answer? Huh? I see the table. I see you said that it's right in front of me. Then I looked at it. Still, I asked you, where's the table? Then you may think that, oh, something's wrong with him. Right? Okay. Now, tell me, this is... Okay, who's the one who gave me water? Your name?
Eli.
Eli. Okay, Eli knows what is inside this. By the way, I already told you, right? Okay. So what am I doing? Hey, what am I doing? Drinking water, right? Yes, it's water. The chemist will say that you are drinking H2O. And the physicist will say that you are drinking electrons, protons, neutrons. Do you agree with me or not?
Yes.
Okay, who is correct? Wow, all are correct. Okay. If you see that I'm drinking electrons, protons, neutrons, right? Electrons, protons, neutrons that I'm drinking, and the electrons, protons, neutrons in this bunch, in this object, there's no difference. Do you agree with me? The electrons which are part of what I'm drinking and the electrons which are part of this flower, there's no difference. Electrons, there's no difference. Okay. So there, the moment we go into the electrons, protons, neutrons level, the concept of water disappears. Do you agree with me or not?
Yes.
Okay. Now, if you really want to enjoy water, right, don't go to the level of electrons, protons. If you go to the level of electrons, protons, you cannot enjoy water. Water disappears. Concept of the water dismantles. Concept of the water disappears. You get it? Good. Okay, yet, when I ask what am I doing, there's nothing wrong in you saying that you are doing electrons, protons,